Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to be rating the worst mistakes and the worst things you can do during a public speaking fiasco. Alright, let's get started with a good old tier list. Number one, we have, this is a big one, imagining everyone in their underwear. You know, for jokes or for genuine seriousness, this thing is not helping you at all. It genuinely does nothing to help you, especially when you put your brain under a lot of cognitive load. Our brains, we can't use that much. We're horrible at multitasking. So when you make your brain think, oh, what's my next line? Oh, make sure that guy's still in his underwear constantly, your brain's going to falter and it's going to trip over. So it's still not the worst thing you can do, but it has no real benefits. So I'm just going to go into a rookie mistake. Alright, number two, this is a great one. This is memorizing your speech. Genuinely, this is one of the best things you can do to get better at speaking. You can memorize your speech, which would therefore make it you don't stutter as much because you actually know what you're saying, you know where to pause, and you know what words work best. All these other little fun doodads, but you can only really build it up once you memorize your speech. Palm cards, they're a big shuffling problem, they're a real nuisance. So if you just go on there with nothing but a microphone, also gives you a chance to use gestures. There's nothing but wins with this one, so I'm not going to just put it in completely safe. This is truly game changing. If you can memorize your speech, you are golden. Alright, next we have stuttering. Now I'm going to put these two next to each other because they're really hand in hand. Stuttering is a huge thing. If you stutter constantly throughout a speech, where it's genuinely not because of the words, but just because you're afraid, you're anxious, so on, then that's kind of different to the big word I'm going to discuss here. When you're using big words for the sake of big words, you do not really know what you're yapping about. Hate to be a hater. In both of my speeches previously, on all of them before that, I only used big words when you really, really need to use it. If you just chuck in something like preposterous or extravaganza whenever you feel like it, and you don't use it normally, your brain is going to stumble on it. This is why I advise when you speak, use words you strictly know really well. Now, it's not genuine sabotage, but setting up for failure. And when it does come to stuttering, I advise you, the best things to do if you're stuttering a lot is memorizing your speech and to use simpler words you use in everyday conversation. Another big one you can do as well is pauses. Pauses will help you a lot, genuinely. You can see, even myself, I'm stuttering when I'm rushing out words constantly. But when I stop and I breathe, this comes across a lot nicer and a lot easier. So, for that reason, I'm going to put this in setting up for failure, but it can be changed. That's the big thing. Stuttering is not the end of the world. And now we have another little fun one here. We have pacing. Pacing can either ruin it or, make it far worse. When you pace, you are basically forcing your body to be more nervous. Same with standing still. It's like a little color spectrum. One end is smoothing too much, one end is smoothing too little. You want to be in the middle, but you're bound to hit the edges. When you move too much and you're pacing back and forth, no one's going to really pay attention to you as much if you move a little. Your gestures become obsolete. How good of a speaker you are doesn't really matter. Pacing is a big thing that's hard to control. I've done it myself too. I still do it. That's just how we operate. When we're anxious, when we're nervous, sometimes this just slips out, right? But it can't ruin a speech too much. Still, pacing is not the greatest thing, and it can affect you negatively, because when you try to do it, you're usually thinking, oh, I need to move now. Oh, I need to move that. I need to move that. So, for that reason, it's more of a rookie mistake, in my opinion. So, now we're looking at not moving altogether. If you are stuck like a statue, completely still, no moving, no nothing. Kind of sucks. Like I said, there's this whole colour spectrum here, and if you're on just this one end, where you're just standing still and you're doing nothing, it's very, very uninteresting. Moving too much ruins you. Not moving enough ruins you more. So for that reason, not moving altogether sets you up for failure. But pacing is still rookie mistake, in my opinion. What was... Oh yeah. Pausing too much. Now, when I just pause, like this, it does nothing, it's useless. You only need a pause when you're making either a statement, you're offering the audience something to digest and understand. So when you spam pauses because you want to make your speech longer, it's just taken away from the point. You can see here, pausing is incredibly powerful. It gives you time to think, audience time to digest, and also it just drags out the speech a little bit, right? So if you over abuse the hell out of the pausing, it's genuinely sabotaging you. But if you use it right, it's game saving. So that's why it's perfect 50-50 in my opinion. Now this one's gestures. Very cool kung fu guy over here. Gestures are a gimmicky one. You can either use too many gestures or too little. There's a lot of things in public speaking that operate like this. The only one that really doesn't, in my experience, is inflections in the voice. But when it comes to gestures, man, you do not want to be launching your hands or be stuck like this the entire time. Gestures you use to add to your point, but they're not the point. So don't spam your hands full 360 around you. Just keep them close to you. But this is talking about mistakes you can make. If you use gestures too much, then it's taken away from the point, but it's not going to ruin you. So that's why I'm just going to sit in here. Now, what is this one? Oh, yes. This is more pre-speaking stuff. Firstly, we have not talking to anyone before the competition. Now, these are all like really similar, but let's go to it. When you don't talk to anyone before the competition and you're mulling over your speech, you know, you're super locked in, you're in like your grind mode. It sucks, bro. Every single time I've done a speaking competition, I have spoken to people for at least an hour before the competition begins. I do not care how serious the competition is, even in the finals, I was still walking around greeting people, saying hi to people, talking, and it helps calm you down so much. There was a phrase by Hamza, you've probably heard of it. It's social lubrication. You just talk to people so much that your own little social sensors in your brain just start to go up, and voila, you feel a little bit more confident, and the more people you talk to, the more confident you get. I'm kind of spamming gestures here, wow. I'm meant to be educating you. So, for that reason, not talking to anyone, I genuinely believe it's complete sabotage. If you just mull over your speech like I did once, I was 1,000 times more nervous because you're so in your head. When you put the speech to the side and you just talk to people, it shows you have self-confidence, which you then take into yourself and imitate. But you also just get to talk to people, which is a huge win. Alright, next we have practicing. This is going to be specifically practicing not enough. If you have a mentor, congratulations to you, you're going to go about 10 times further. Now, does that mean without a mentor you're going to suck? No, not really. You can still go pretty far. Practicing is pretty hard to do solo, so I do recommend you get a camera up, record your speech, hopefully memorized, and you implement all these little things here and there, and you just work around it. But if you do not practice enough for a competition, simple, genuine sabotage. Doesn't matter if you have used palm cards or not. If you have practice, you're going to be able to look up a lot more confidently because you actually know what's next. However, you don't practice enough and you don't use your palm cards, it is genuinely, and I use this metaphor a lot, It's like getting ready for a marathon, doing all the training, and when they're about to say go, you grab a gun, shoot your foot, and then you try to run it anyway. This is the worst form of self-sabotage I can possibly imagine. Do not do this. Practice as much as you can, but on the day of the competition, you can only practice in the morning. Nothing beyond that. I'd even say, on the day of the competition, do not practice at all. The day before, sure, go crazy. Day before that, go crazy. But the day of the competition, do not practice. It is 1,000 times better when you go in and you have that self-confidence, you know, I've done what I can, there's no last-minute alterations, no last-minute study I can do. I just have to go give my speech. Simple. And now this one is sulking in nervousness. This is the other 2 points really, again, but when you're just stuck in your little grind mode, focusing on your speech only, you're setting yourself up for failure. Really, like, when you can talk to people, talking to people is a gift. It's a beautiful thing that separates us from most other animals. I dare to say 99% of animals, because we can talk. We have this elegant way of speaking to people. And when you choose to neglect that and instead sulk and sully, it's just gonna ruin your speech. 2 people, right? One person literally sat down on his phone, locked in on his speech, nothing else. The other bloke, he went around talking to everyone. He said hi, gave introductions, gave this, gave that. When they both got on the speech, who's going to do better? There's another little bonus point here. When you go socialise with those people, doesn't matter if it's a huge audience, you have familiar faces you can look at. And they also hold a lot more of a positive opinion of you. And you know that, because you just made a little introduction. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. However, it's genuine sabotage if you just sulk. And I dare to say it's the worst thing you can do. So there's a list you can go over in your own time or whatever. But basically, the best thing you can do is to memorize your speech, and the worst thing you can do is to lock yourself in on the day of the competition and not speak to anyone. To fully get into this, I'm gonna lock in, I'm gonna grind mode, whatever this nonsense is, right? We all fall victim to it, but just keep your head on and just talk to people.